Dr. Price, I've been listening to your debate with Dr. Fernandez at infidelguy.com. At about the 1 hour and 18-minute mark, Dr. Fernandez stated that the belief that the Messiah would be a military conqueror was a corruption of the original definition. I've never heard this viewpoint before. Do you really know that it does not have any validity? And he's from San Diego.
Well, it's difficult to tell what the original job description of the Messiah was, but it seems to me that all the texts that even could be taken in the Old Testament as prophecies of the Messiah, and that those are not many, they tend to see the Messiah as a new king of David's line. That seems to be the notion. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, you have an idea of a different anointed one, an eschatological priest, a priest for the last days, because priests were anointed for office just as kings were. But usually you have certainly the idea of the anointed king of David's line, as we find it very clearly stated in the Psalms of Solomon, which appear to be a 1st century BCE Pharisee collection of lyrics. And that's not the only thing any ancient Jew says about it, but that seems to be the earliest and the most coherent and continuous view of the matter. In fact, I'm not really sure what other views there were. I think probably Phil Hernandez just has in mind the dogmatically created Christian view that that God's idea of the Messiah, whether revealed in the Old Testament or not, though they say it is, and I say 53, is a divine Savior who will suffer for sins. And there's an element of truth about that, but what Phil and the other apologists fail to see is that both the element of an atoning Messiah and a humiliated and vindicated Messiah and a divinely inspired or even divine king are all part of the same package. The ancient royal ideology that saw the king of Judah or any others of the surrounding countries as the vice regent or son or even incarnation of the king of the gods on earth. And every year the rituals acted out the myth whereby the king of the gods had defeated the chaos monsters and created the world and taken the throne to receive the acclamation of the older gods who abdicated to him, as El Elyon does to Yahweh in Daniel 7, after he defeats the sea beasts and gains sovereignty, etc. And the Messiah notion that Judaism had in New Testament times had largely whittled that down because it had polytheistic implications, as you can tell from the summary I just gave, and they whittled it down to the simple matter of another independent Jewish king taking the throne, not any kind of immortal or divine being, though the original royal ideology spoke of such. And that ideology does match very closely in many ways the Christology of the New Testament, if you throw in the second coming along with the first. So I think what they're doing is to isolate the atonement angle, which originally was part of the yearly humiliation of the king, symbolizing the dying of vegetation. And then that was the precursor to the vindication and resurrection of the king, symbolizing the resurrection of the god in the ancient myth. He was killed by the chaos dragons and then brought back to life and triumph. They're isolating this into a kind of well, they're just taking the parts out of it that fit monotheistic New Testament Christology and saying that was the original, and it's all a kind of ventriloquism game because you're just saying, yes, our belief represents the original, and we know better than those Jews studying the scriptures 2,000 years ago. I found Hernandez utterly unconvincing and someone impervious to the information he had studied for the debate. And that debate so soured me because of the obvious futility of it that I have to admit I am almost cured of any desire ever to debate anybody again for the waste of time it involves. But thanks for your question anyway.
Nice, another satisfied customer.